Welcome to My Creative Corner 3, a podcast about quilting, crafting, creativity, with a dash of garden, chatting about current interests and life in my northern town. You can find show notes at mycreativecorner3.com. You can also find all of my social media, how to purchase a virtual cup of coffee, and all events on the website. Please feel free to stop by and leave a comment. I really appreciate everyone who listens. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome to the podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to My Creative Corner 3. It's November 21st, and here we are on the cusp of the holiday season being upon us. Where did it come from? I think Halloween was just here. I don't know what happened. I've been so incredibly busy, and I don't have a whole lot of making to show for it, to be honest. And I debated on whether or not to even do a podcast, but once again, when you take inventory and start writing down what you've been doing, I realize, wow, I have a lot to be proud of. So, yes, it's been a little snowy. It's been feeling like Thanksgiving is around the corner. We've had a couple of inches of snow, some rain. The cold is back in the Arctic polar blast, but not a lot of snow on the ground. We have really had the wild ride of the November weather, and I expect December to just chug along and we'll be in the heart of winter. I wrapped up the pottery class and I am so proud. I got my Christmas trees glazed and I opted for a grayish purpley glaze for the plain cone with some snowflakes embossed in the pottery. And another pottery Christmas tree is a larger tree with a cone for a base. And I did some thumbprint style elongated bows on it. And I did that one in a multicolor movable glaze of green. I absolutely adore that particular piece. And all of my other triangular plates, my dishes, all of them came back. They're done. I did not lose one. I have such a wonderful teacher, and her kiln management skills are amazing. So the pottery class is done, and I'm really sad about it. I felt like I was kind of uninspired. But at her studio, she bills it as a mixed media studio, meaning it's more than just pottery. I did some candle making. There we go. I have a soap making class tomorrow, but the candle making one is cool because the pottery instructor did a beautiful oval piece. Excuse me. And the oval piece we filled with a 3-wick soy candle. Picked the scent, I poured it in. It was a much more hands-on process than I was expecting, but my particular pot was done at the end of the pouring part, so it did not fully harden enough to bring home. So I'm picking it tomorrow, and after the soap making class, I will have holiday soap for my husband and I to use, and I'm just really excited. I was able to put my pieces throughout the house, and I'm starting to use them and enjoy some of the decorative pieces. A lot of the dishes are more functional. They're smaller. A couple of them are bigger, so I might even use them for food. I just have to, wash them by hand and be careful with them. But as little serving dishes, they'll be great. So overall, the pottery class was incredibly inspiring, and I was so proud of my pieces. They are not professional level, or even some of them were not very good. But it doesn't matter. It's kind of like going back to that beginner mindset and finishing my first quilt that wasn't fabulous, but it was all right. I'd used material I could afford, and I was incredibly proud of that. And now it's like I'm making harder and harder quilts. And the more I've learned about quilting, which is my primary craft for those who might be new here, I'm finding that I'm more critical of them because they're not perfect. So I think it's super fun to take classes and try new things because then you realize you love having that beginner mindset. I love learning and new things. And I loved learning about candle making. It is much different than the candle making kits that I got for Christmas in the 70s. Did you have one of those? Yeah, you had to have a double boiler. You used paraffin wax. It was burn your fingers, set the wick, these really thick plastic molds for pillar candles. Yeah, this was so much easier. We used a microwave. And I have a couple of smaller pots that in the future I might fill with small candles, and I can always refill the dish that I'm picking up tomorrow once it is ready to burn and use up all that lovely, lovely wax. It smells so good. I picked a bergamot spice. I don't know why it smelled good. I don't I know bergamot. The name sounds familiar, but I don't know much about it. But it just had a nice holiday woodsy smell to me. But I have long COVID, so my sense of smell is not as acute as some people. And sometimes my brain interprets things as smelling a way that other people don't have. So if you have any idea about bergamot, let me know. And the soap making class, I've done a soap making class there before. My husband adores this soap so much that I told him I'm going to another class and he's really excited about it. It's a really good recipe and it's got a lot of moisturizer in it. We're going to put a little holiday scent and color, I think, is what the teacher said because she took the candle making class too. And I think we will be in just feeling all the small things for the holidays. And I'm kind of sad that that's the end of the season of all of the classes that I've been taking. And so now I'm doing the deep dive into the winter hibernation feeling, the hygge, the cozy, all of that. So I'm crocheting grannies and my granny squares are multiplying every day. I'm doing at least one or two. And then I am also doing for a friend a crochet topper for kitchen towels to hang on a stove or refrigerator. The first couple I did the tab part where you pull it around the like handle of a stove or the kitchen. It feels too tight. So I'm going to elongate that and just keep going. I bought some lovely towels from Costco, a beautiful set that I think I love. So I'm keeping half the set and I'm crocheting half of the set. And they are not holiday themed, but Merry Christmas to me. I've got some new kitchen towels too. I don't think I'm going to crochet mine because I don't typically have room on the handles of my refrigerator or the door. But this woman will really enjoy them. And then I am sitting here thinking, well, what have I done? What are we doing? Lots of life changes. My husband retired. It was a little unexpected, but he's living the dream. I have a couple more years. We are looking at, he's looking at his big birthday for 60 in a week or two. No secret about it. And mine is not until next spring. And I just don't have any way of getting medical insurance. and my husband is a disabled vet, so he has insurance when I stop working. That's not the problem. So overall, I'm not ready to retire, and I have a couple financial goals I want to reach. But my husband is going to start some exploring of crafts and things that he never had time to do when he was working, which I think what retirement is all about, and prepping for retirement, exploring all of that stuff. So we're going to look into the possibility of buying a laser cutter, and he wants to do some wood carving by hand and making some interesting things. Some of them are Viking themed. So we have a lot of redoing of our house and the creative spaces. He has a room that is dedicated to basically the instruments. We don't play as much as we used to, and office stuff that's been consolidated down to a filing cabinet and his drones. And yeah, a working station in the basement for some of the woodworking and whittling and stuff. We have the garage, but the gym is out there and the snow blower's out there. But he's going to have some areas out there too. Sounds like he's got a lot of work to do. I'm going to help by clearing out the spaces. And we started that in the room in the upstairs where I said that used to be an office and music room and stuff. So that room, and we have been working on it and working on it, and the decluttering, we still have a long ways to go. But there's a lot of part of this time of year is developing the cozy, and it's cooler so you can move furniture around and you can do all of those types of things that you put off when it's hot in the summer. And really, I am excited about thinning out the things we don't need and having a fresh beginner mindset on what could this room be? Where do we go with it? How can we make it work for us now versus what it has always been? So that is exciting. So we're looking at that laser cutter, hoping for a Black Friday deal. If you have a laser cutter, let me know um, which one you have, what you think the positives are, and maybe you would have a recommendation for me. Part of the comfy cozy for me is hot beverages. My lingering cup of coffee in the morning and a hot tea in the afternoon. And right now, I love the smell of Constant Comet. It's a Bigelow tea that you can buy at any grocery store. And I think it reminds me of fall and the holiday season so much. And I can move to the next topic, which is quilting. Yeah, I haven't done a ton of it. No long arming. I have worked on the So Happy quilt by Lori Holt. I have whinged and whined on about the cutting directions. I'm a year into this pattern. I have 7 of the star blocks done. And I have a couple of the sewing notions done, and I have the sewing machine left. But I'm going to do all of the star blocks. I'm going to just keep plugging away at it, and I'm proud of myself that I have done about 3 stars in the last few weeks. And I am keeping up with the Fantabulous Scrappy Stars, which is being hosted by Halo Inspirations, and Angel is writing all of the patterns. I'm doing the 8-inch blocks with the 4-inch centers of these stars, and I'm using scraps. It's what do you call it? Controlled scrappy. I've got several leftover collections that seem to work really well together, and throwing in some extra pieces of fabrics and colors that go with that, blending it in with a white background. And we are 7 blocks into the quilt and nearing the halfway point. I'm pretty excited with how my pinks and greens and pastel-like colors with a few reds and blues thrown on the side. I love how it's turning out. And I have rediscovered the joy of paper piecing. I don't have to do all that cutting. So, if you're a foundation paper piecing person like me, I hate cutting, but paper piecing, I can rough cut everything, not down to the precision. And every time I turn around, I'm seeing videos of people with injuries to their hands and fingers or feet from rotary cutters. So, you know what? I might be a purist of foundation paper piecing in the not so distant future. But there's still a time and a place for traditional piecings. But anyway, that's what I am up to with quilting. I keep hoping that I'm going to put a quilt on the frame, and I keep hoping that I'm going to just pick up where I left off a few years ago with just all of this energy and all of this ability to put in a 12 or a 14-hour day between my hobbies and my job. And you know what? I can't do it anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. And when I come home from work, when I come home from work, I am ready to cook dinner and do a hand project like crocheting or sewing or hand sewing or something, and then just go to bed early, get some good sleep. But that's, I don't know. Maybe it's energy, maybe it's age, maybe it's just time to slow down and not look at myself as a production and a productivity person. I've always really prided myself on how much I could get done in a day. And maybe it's just a sign of the end of your 50s of being completely burned out on everything and taking care of yourself more. So that is really where I have been focusing a lot of my time on is doing more to take care of myself. A little bit more moving, a little bit less sugar and better, well balanced meals, being a little bit sharper in some of the choices I make in the grocery store, and all of that stuff. And when it all comes down to it, I'm looking at learning from the season that through this transition into fall and winter here, what I call the dark days until solstice, because we are very limited hours on the daylight, that through all of this hibernation piece comes growth, just kind of like the roots of my plants in my garden. And I am going to thrive this winter with a lot of growth while I'm hibernating in my little cozy home and really looking at how I can come through the winter a better person with more energy and plans for spring as I go outside and pick up gardening and trying to improve my little cottage themed garden. So that's kind of my thought as we are kind of wrapping up the new year of the fall. To me, fall starts in September and really doing all the new things with the beginner mindset and being really proud. And I want to continue that feeling of coming through winter, being really proud of what I was able to do and how I feel at the end of winter. Now, if you don't live in a very northern climate, you may not get this, but maybe some of my friends who live in the north do. But it is a time of year where you do have low energy and you do have short daylight and the sun is very energizing. And I'm just like, I'm going to come through this as not just in a holding pattern until spring where I can pick up and dust myself off again and then like burst forth into the sunshine and start living again and then try to undo all of the not healthy and not productive things for yourself over the winter. It's easy to do. It's easy to turn into just a couch potato, watch TV, watch football until the Super Bowl, and just long for better days. And I'm kind of over doing that anymore. I don't have time to just long for better days because the better days are today and they are now. So I would like to do a few things that I have discovered through watching a few shows on YouTube, trying to mix it up a little bit. I've really been enjoying a YouTube channel called The Vintage Doll's House. The Vintage Doll House. The Vintage Dollhouse is also listed as it is Real Vintage Dollhouse. So she is a woman who likes to live the analog life. You've heard me talk about the slow living, mindful living, but she also likes to live like the 40s with a little bit of her interpretation on it of nostalgia and some other vintage things. So not a true 1940s person, but she's from England and is looking at a simpler life, simpler recipes, not being extravagant, living frugally, and I love, love, love this channel. I love her ideas. You don't have to agree with everything she says, but she did a video that I want to watch. She just posted it 2 days ago that intrigues me. And please help if you know what she's talking about, because I don't. The Dutch art of doing nothing, embracing winter like an old children's book. Doesn't that sound intriguing and amazing? Oh, I can't wait. And the recommendation from her channel about an inspiring, cozy watch is something I've been looking for, something new to look for, because there's so much choice, and I just don't even. I don't know where to go. I don't want to spend 50 hours trying to find something. But anyway, what she recommended was called the Suburban Homestead. And I'm like, oh, I like this. I live in a small town, and the Suburban Homestead is a artist, and his primary video content is about converting the old house that he's living in's yard to a very productive garden. Garden meaning vegetables and flowers. Like I said, he's an artist, so he puts up the most amazing and inspiring projects. And over a short period of time, if you look at his videos, it shows quick progress to this beautiful cottage garden that he said took him only 4 years for this extreme makeover. So that is something he posted a year ago. He doesn't post a lot, but what he does is very high quality. And what I love about it is I'm learning while I'm fascinated. Like I said, he makes a living as an artist, so he sells prints on Etsy of his paintings, and he gives you a design lesson each video. What makes good composition and design? Why does this work in my garden? What are focal points? All of the things. I don't know anything about art. It's finding it fascinating. If you want to jump in and watch that, uh, it please do. But what I found interesting is he took a what I would call a shack on his garden, in his garden, which was really a shed that the walls were rotting, and he turned it into the most darling potting shed. It's a series of several videos, and so if you look up how he turned that old shed into something amazing, it's good. And I also watched one where he turned a walk-in closet into a library, an old world library. Somebody else I watch do it on a dime. I love her content. She also turned a walk-in closet into a vintage Old World Library. Totally different look, but same concepts. If you are into these kinds of fascinating things, even if you never did it, it's amazing to watch, and you walk away from these things being inspired and finding it's a very uplifting, cozy watch. So do it on a dime. Her content on her channel is she goes to thrift stores, she goes to dollar stores, she goes to Walmart, and she takes things that are not expensive, repurposes them for very little money and a lot of imagination, and turns them into really, really cute things in her home. So those are a couple of recommendations on YouTube. And if you have any good recommendations, that would be amazing. I would love to hear them. And I am very excited because I signed up for a book it's under pre-order right now. I can't read very well and remember everything, and I have trouble slowing down and feeling like I can read something without trying to get busy and do something. It's always been a hobby I enjoyed when I was younger, but I don't know, since I've been an adult with a lot going on and raising kids, reading has kind of gone by the wayside. So I thought this will be fun. It's called Be Your Own Bestie. It is by an influencer who started out on TikTok, but I see his reels on Facebook. Love the content. Very uplifting. And what I like about it is Misha, he goes by Misha, eh, he calls himself a collector of stories. And with people's permission, talks about the positive, uplifting, and occasionally the negative interactions of people he has every day at Walmart, at Starbucks, and with his influence and some of his money, he has really done a lot to further other people who are in terrible situations. But I love his stories, and he tells them so very well in a short reel type of a format. So, those are the things I've been up to. I hope that you have a lovely Thanksgiving and that you're practicing gratitude. I've been practicing gratitude all month, and I will for 90 days. Um, I really, really look forward to hearing some of your recommendations and what you have been up to. And if you're getting a little burnt out on another craft, have you tried another one? I tried bringing cross stitch out. That wasn't too fun yet in the winter. And I've tried knitting. Same. I'm into the crochet right now. So if you have any square-based crochet blocks, let me know because I would be very interested in them. I hope you take time to take care of yourself. Do something that you're incredibly proud of. I'll talk to you in the next couple of weeks. Happy Thanksgiving for those who are celebrating this next week. And to everyone else, have a lovely week. Be creative and quilt on, everyone.